Who knows whether Fury is the guy who can jump the queue now? Like maybe it's all about Daniel Dubois or Moses Itauma. I think he'll box a Conor McGregor. And if you're going to box in the States, then maybe Deontay Wilder is a really good fit.
True.
It's a big fight that never happened in me.
Welcome back to Fight Lens and Press Insights. Happy New Year 2026. We're back with George Groves for our monthly boxing update. George, how have you been? Happy New Year, Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year, Owen. Yeah, it's good to be back. Back in the first day back in the gym for me today, actually. New year, new me. Stuff from Turkey, ready to seize the year. So nice, good to be back. It was a good Christmas. You?
Yeah, good. Doing dry January, so trying to get active as well. We'll see how it goes. First time I've ever done it. Are you doing it, or are you?
I think so. Yeah. Well, we're in camp now, so you're in camp, and then you don't drink. But sometimes you forget, don't you? You forget that you've started dry January, and then all of a sudden you've had a glass of wine.
Passing the pub, and you've accidentally gone in, and before you know it, you've got a pint of Guinness in your hand, and disaster.
Yeah, it does happen to the best of us.
So in camp, as in Lucas Roehrig, in camp for his next fight?
Yeah, me and Lucas. So Lucas is back in the gym, back working hard, and some fight news to announce for him real soon. But yeah, he had a bit of a break over Christmas. I had a bit of a break, but we managed to get to some fantastic boxing events, and we've watched some fantastic boxing on TV.
I saw him
we're going to get into.
Yeah, I saw Lucas in action down in Brighton.
Yes.
Got the win.
Yeah.
And moving on this year, bigger and better things, I presume.
Yeah. So that was his first 8-rounder.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Yeah.
Against a really good opponent, French opponent, Clavier. That might be the right way to pronounce it if I'm French. Yeah, but tough guy.
He was,
came out,
he? Yeah.
he had success in the first couple of rounds, and Lucas had to adjust, but he did. Dropped him a couple of times, but again, got those invaluable rounds under his belt. It went points, but a great performance from Lucas. Really happy. Opened the show for Channel 5, so great exposure for him.
Yeah,
for sure. Now hopefully we march on to maybe some titles this year.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Well, the big news in the last couple of days, not to anyone's great surprise, Tyson Fury has renounced his latest retirement. He's back in action, well, saying he will be. Whether we see him anytime soon, I don't know. It looks like he needs to do a lot of, a big long camp to get himself in fight shape. But what do you think's enticed him out of retirement this time?
No idea. I mean, he's very good at coming out of retirement and retiring, and he's done that.
It's been about five, 6 times.
He's definitely excelling in that division. I just think maybe I can sympathise a bit as an ex-fighter where he's finished boxing and he can't be bothered. Then all of a sudden there's something that creates a bit of spark and a bit of interest, and then he wants to get back in the gym. The cynical part of us will always wonder, is there some boxing politics, at play? Did he have no chance of getting a particular type of fight on a deal that he wanted, and then it come about? But the fight that I think everyone wanted to see was him against Anthony Joshua. And Anthony Joshua's more than expressed an interest in that fight throughout past year plus.
Called him out after the Jake Paul fight.
Called him out,
basically.
And then he has the Jake Paul fight, which is a mega fight. He's opening up to a new audience. He'll be on everyone's algorithm, as he said. And maybe then Tyson got a little bit of jealousy.
I think
that it's not him anymore.
I think that's it.
But the fact that, maybe I get the timeline wrong, but he did hear nothing about Fury interested in fighting until after Joshua was involved in this horrific car crash where, who knows whether he'll even box again after being in that sort of a incident.
That's it.
Now Tyson Fury says he's coming back, so peculiar timing, but if Tyson Fury is just thinking about Tyson Fury, he won't care about anyone else's timing. So new year, new me. He's back in the gym and he fancies a run at 2026.
Well, this is it. And one potential route to a world title would be Fabio Wardley, but that's a risky route, isn't it, for someone like Tyson Fury at this point in his career?
Well, you think Fury would always be able to beat Fabio Wardley because he's good at negating people's attributes, and Fabio is a great fighter, but very limited in the skill set. He doesn't have that pedigree of boxing. He's he's fit and strong and determined and no quitting him. But you think Fury would be able to just, negate it. But if he's not in shape, like if he's way out of shape, then that could be a tall order for him.
Yeah.
And right, Wardley off at your peril. But who knows whether Fury is the guy who can jump the queue now? Like maybe it's all about Daniel Dubois or Moses Itauma. They're the future. Moses Itauma is certainly the future, and maybe Frank Warren and his team think, oh, well, we love you, Tyson. You've done your bit, but boxing moves on, and it's not you. You don't just get to come back.
No. He's definitely dropped down the rankings. He's dropped out of the top 10, I think, of the ring heavyweight rankings.
Well, I think you would do when you retire, surely.
Yeah,
inactivity. 100%. But I'm sure if he came back, rankings can be massaged and fights can get 100%. Made.
Yeah.
And there's a few other heavyweights out there that seems like that might be getting a queue jump to get a shot at Usyk.
Yeah, we've seen he's been sparring Kevin Lerena, the South African, who is a southpaw. Maybe people are speculating that he's preparing for another Usyk fight potentially, but then Usyk's talking about wanting to fight Deontay Wilder, so maybe that doesn't really add up.
Yeah, I read that he's breaking away from Riyadh season and he wants to, box in the States. And if you're going to box in the States, then maybe Deontay Wilder is a really good fit.
True.
It's a big fight that never happened. And maybe, even if he beats Wilder now, he would still feel like another... Their eras sort of not quite overlapped, but they were together. So it makes sense for Usyk. I wouldn't... He doesn't need to box Fury again to prove anything there. He doesn't need to box Joshua again or Dubois again to prove anything there. So, maybe if he just wants to add another name to his resume and a big fight in the States, Wilder.
Still got a lot of fans over there, hasn't he, to be fair, despite his career sort of coming to a bit of a
I think sometimes
recently.
Fighters, that they finish and then they gain a new round of popularity. They become likable. I think Derek Chisora, for instance, in the UK, all of a sudden when people didn't think he was going to be a world beater, just that he's a hard bloke who wants to go out and have a fight and entertain, he became immensely popular.
True.
And Wilder, we got to hang out with him in Dubai recently, an IBA event, and he was really good fun. Really good guy. So if he does box again, loves him box again, he's like, it's hard to believe sometimes that he was the heavyweight champion of the world because he's like stick thin.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's lost weight since
his legs always look pretty thin.
Yeah. But obviously super tall and just tremendous punch power, incredible punch power. So I think he was always been a frustrating one for me to watch, Wilder. I've always thought you're missing some key fundamentals, and if you did, then wow, what could your potential have been? Couldn't pull the trigger, but time and time again, if he did land that right hand, it would get him out of trouble.
Kind of like Fabio Wardley in that respect, that didn't really have the actual, the foundations too much, but just had that punch power that's terrifying.
Yeah, I think Wardley's like big and strong, whereas Wilder's just stick thin and powerful. He's got true equalizer power. But he's got that get out of jail card. I think Wardley's more of a mindset as well. He ain't got quit in him yet.
Yeah, warrior, absolute warrior mindset. Yeah. Do you think this will be the end of Anthony Joshua's career now, dealing with obviously the tragedy of losing his two friends and surviving that? We saw with Deontay Wilder, he kind of lost the killer instinct. He admitted it himself. Do you think it'll be hard for AJ to get back in the ring now?
Yeah, I think so. If I'm being honest, it did feel like you've conquered the world. You've been involved in huge fights. You'll have a life after boxing from your achievements and your fame from boxing. So what is there left for you to fight? And he got himself in. He always looks like he's in shape, but he got himself fight ready in a short amount of time to fight and beat Jake Paul, and he did, and he done really well. I thought,
broke his jaw.
Broke his jaw.
No, I think
it's always nice when you break someone's jaw, right? And so I think the only thing he would have really been motivated by would have been a Fury fight. But now, after what's happened, I think I just don't see it.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what process, because he seems like a deep guy, a deep thinker. He's going to have to come back.
That's it. And
It's going to take a while to get over this,
Yeah,
if ever getting over it.
the mortality, you know, you might have a deeper view of it now even. So, yeah, it's a tough one to see. But, you know, credit to him for his performance against Jake Paul. Does Jake Paul get any credit in your eyes for surviving 6 rounds against Anthony Joshua, even though he was just basically running for the whole fight?
No, not really. I mean, anyone who thought that Joshua could knock him out at any moment in any second, and if anything longer than 30 seconds would be a fix, it's like, no. If you come in here and the guy's just absolutely running, then what chance have you got?
Well, that's it. And the ring was bigger than an average ring, wasn't it? 22 feet, I believe.
Yeah, it looked like a nice big ring.
Yeah.
I mean, Joshua didn't look small in it. So,
That's true.
And credit to Jake Paul, he must have been putting in his backwards running in camp. Like he got
and his knees, the knee.
And yeah,
the knee
so
hugging.
to me, he came out. He put on a show in terms of the build-up and the ring walk. Once he got in there, I'm sure his game plan would have been survive the first couple of rounds. Let's try and nick a points win. You can't hurt someone as big as Joshua. Joshua's been hit by full-blown heavyweights, and shots have bounced off him.
Yeah.
So. But he gassed, didn't he? He just wasn't fit enough to sustain that. So that was disappointing, because once he got there, then he looked like he was looking for a way out. He was falling over. He was
trying to
weird
waste
dance
time.
at some point, like a weird walk, like his leg had gone.
Yeah.
He was looking for an excuse.
Trying to buy time, really, just to make it to the end of the next round, I think, really.
And then to Joshua's credit, he was patient enough where he didn't lose his cool. He didn't miss too many shots, and then when the time came, he landed a perfect right hand that broke his jaw.
Yeah. You think he should have cut the ring off a bit better? Were you expecting him to kind of?
Does it matter? Does it really matter? Because ultimately, Joshua was under pressure there. Because if Jake Paul was fitter, he would have been able to elude, fart, and fiddle his way through the fight, and it would have gone points. And Paul might have even got a couple of those rounds, and then. It's like, wow, you had a split decision win over Jake Paul, maybe even lost, but he didn't. He
finished it.
He'd done his job, yeah.
That's
so they'll, I think the Paul team will do everything they can to paint a different picture. But if you watched it, like you can't be impressed by.
I woke up randomly at 3 a.m. and thought I might as well subscribe to Netflix, stick it on, and I was kind of regretting that decision by a few rounds in, because it wasn't much of a spectacle, really, was it, until the knockout. No.
I think I knew I didn't get up for it. I woke up, found the result out, watched it, but I think credit to Joshua, really, because the pressure's on him to a certain degree, and when everyone's expecting you to knock someone out, and then the person in front of you has no intention of fighting, then the pressure can be on. But he kept his cool, and he landed those shots.
Do you think? Sorry to cut you off there. Do you think Jake Paul will call it a day now? I mean, broken jaw, that's going to take a while to. I don't know how well it can ever heal, really.
I don't think so. I think he's still got something to prove. Who knows what goes on in Jake Paul's mind? Why he's if you're I'd love to be his therapist and get to the bottom of it and figure out what his issues are, what he's running from, what he's pretending to be, what his insecurities are, because he's genuinely trying to convince everyone that he's a professional boxer when he's clearly not.
He's a YouTuber by trade.
He's a YouTuber, and you can't be like he trains hard enough, but he wasn't fit enough to do 8 rounds. He's been a pro how long?
Yeah, like good few years now.
I know the guy's bigger than you, but he wasn't exactly using his weight. He wasn't holding you, laying on you, pulling you down. He wasn't wrestling with you. He was running.
I think he's trapped in that kind of conundrum of I need to bulk up, but then he's slacking on the cardio side of it maybe, and he can't balance it out. I don't know.
Yeah. I saw a bit of a day in the life of his where he gets up, he trains, and then he's in the recovery thing, and he's eating, and it looks like he's got it all on point. Where that's what top level athletes have when they've got the finance to have a private chef or have a personal gym and have, do their camps in warm weather training and stuff like that. So, but I think he'll carry on boxing. I think he'll box a Conor McGregor type. I think that makes sense. Where it'll be another huge name who's not a boxer.
Yeah.
And
what about the argument that if Netflix had actually invested that amount of money in sort of grassroots boxing rather than just pumping it into Jake Paul's bank account and Anthony Joshua's bank account, what a difference that could have made to the sport.
Yeah, true. I mean, who knows what? I don't know enough about what what it will mean, because they could have put it into grassroots boxing, but if people don't watch it, maybe it doesn't
hard to quantify,
doesn't kick on, and it doesn't work. But it's a different model from Netflix. You know, Netflix, I feel like I've had Netflix from the get-go. Fan of Netflix, love everything they do, and a lot of the time I look forward to a new show that's come out. But the shows they make are shows you want to watch over and over again, and then you might have seen it a decade earlier. Oh, Breaking Bad. Should we have another run at Breaking Bad? Should we have another run at Ozark? No one's going to be saying, should we watch that Jake Paul fight again?
That's such a good point.
It's now they are truly in the realm of live. Like, you know, I know any live boxing event, when you're watching it there and then, you know, whether it be on your Netflix TV or in the arena, of course, but if you're watching it there, it's exciting. You don't know what's coming next. Only a few fights you're happy to put on again and again and again.
Froch
Groves one, that can go on.
Exactly.
Stick that on Netflix if they can get hold of it.
Yeah.
That'll do good trade.
A few dividends out there.
You know, Groves DeGale.
Yeah.
One of the best fights you could ever watch live at the time when you were there, because it was edgy seat stuff. But when you watch it back over and over again, unless you're a diehard fan of me, then you are you just appreciate, that kid went off the back foot. It's not Hagler Hearns.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. Well, Jake Paul was originally going to fight Canelo. Do you think that would have been just a hilarious mismatch as well? Would that ever happen now?
I mean, they're saying that, but I don't think Paul would. I don't think Paul would truly be up for that. I don't think Canelo would do it.
Yeah.
I don't think he'd stoop to that level. He doesn't need to. I think he's now up for living out his days.
Fighting twice a year in Mexico, or just...
But he might not fight again.
Yeah.
I think he will fight, but he doesn't need to. I don't think he'd want to retire on a loss, but he's never going to reach the heights of what he's experienced before, I don't think. And he was a phenomenal fighter, you know, in his era. And I wouldn't want to see any more losses on his record. Not that we'd get it against Paul, but I just think, enjoy what you've achieved. And he wouldn't stoop to the level of boxing Paul, because ultimately, unless he knocks him out and breaks his jaw quicker than Joshua, he hasn't really won.
That's true.
And you don't need the money.
Yeah.
You don't need the fame. So, you know,
what's the point?
Most fighters, as they're trying to make something, they're trying to raise their profile and raise their bank balance.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because Joshua was asked about kind of legacy after the fight, and he said it means nothing to him. You know, after 50 years, your kind of legacy is erased, effectively, as it was his theory. Do you think that's him just trying to justify taking a Jake Paul fight, because your advice to him was to not even take it in the first place and preserve your
I'd have loved it if he just said, nah, I don't need to stoop to that level. But he'd done it, and it worked out for him because he broke his jaw and he knocked him out, and, you know, he maybe shut him up. But it was a total mismatch.
Absolutely.
Even if they were the same size, it should be a mismatch. But they're not even the same size. So it's a total mismatch. But if Joshua's got one eye on what his life is after boxing, whether he wants to be a TV presenter or, you know, something, you know, in the public realm, movie star, exactly. Yeah. Then this is it made sense.
Good way to build your profile even bigger in America. Yeah, for sure. Let's move on to Moses Itauma. He's fighting Jermaine Franklin on January 24th in Manchester. Is this a case of how long Jermaine Franklin survives, or, you know, is there more to it than that? Is this the biggest test of Moses' career so far?
Yeah, it might be the biggest test of Franklin's career so far. Yeah. I think I'd like to see Moses have to go some rounds, and I think they've chose Franklin for that reason. They think he's tough. He took Joshua rounds, he took Dillian White rounds, and they're hoping he's going to take Itauma rounds. I don't think he'll be able to present any real challenges. Itauma's just too sharp, but if Franklin's durable, hope to take him into deeper waters and then see, you know, what Itauma's condition is like. But I'm looking for. I think it's a good matchup if you're trying to build Moses Itauma. It makes sense. That, you know, there was a period where he could have possibly been in line for a mandatory, and you know, it was on. It was like, okay, right, if you take those fights, then you're in the mix. You're one fight away from having to fight someone like Usyk, and do you really need to fight Usyk now?
It's early days. I think he had that idea of being the youngest ever like heavyweight world champion, taking Mike Tyson's record. That's gone now. But he could still be, I think, the youngest ever British world title holder.
Yeah.
So
and it's cool, but you know, records don't mean everything.
Don't pay the bills.
And yeah, they don't pay the bills. And you know, Fabio Wardley right now hasn't boxed in a world title fight, but he's world champion. He's been elevated. So you know, he could have had that fight. You know, I was out in Dubai and I watched Gasayev beat Pulev for a version of the WBA world title. So there's a lot of these world titles knocking about.
Yeah, there are.
And so it's about, you know, the bigger picture. Certainly for Moses Itauma. So I think this Franklin fight's a really good fight for him.
Yeah, should be a good one. Should be good. Were you surprised to hear Terrance Crawford retired from boxing? Obviously, like an iconic career that he's had, won so many world titles. But
yeah, you wonder whether it's just what's there left for him. Like, and
nothing left
to
to
go
prove.
up and beat Canelo is extraordinary.
Yeah.
Really, when you think about it. I know Canelo. I mean, if Canelo took up to middleweight and complete the belts, I think was extraordinary. So for Crawford to do it is almost mind-boggling. I see him. We was in Dubai. Conor Ben was there, and then Crawford was there, and Conor Ben. I don't know if there was chat about him possibly retiring, and Conor Ben asked him, and he's like, "What else have I got to prove?" I was like, "Yeah,
fair point.
Fair enough." Like he's. I think he said he's been boxing since he was 7 years of age. There's pictures of him and all his belts. It's like he's done it, you know, and there's nothing he can do now that will enhance his status, I believe, really, you know, because you just find something else to nitpick at and say, oh, well, he didn't box him at this point. He can't do it. Can't change anything about that now. Yeah. So I think when people say he's the best fighter of this era, then it would be hard to go against, you know, because he didn't look like he ever struggled.
No, it's true. He always looked kind of like he had more in the tank if he needed it, potentially. And he doesn't want to go down the Roy Jones Jr. route of just keeping on fighting almost for the sake of it. Just retire while you still got your health intact, and your credibility and your record speaks for itself, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And he's undefeated. He's that is the high to go out on. Like if you said, like, okay, name someone who would have retired on a better win, you'd struggle. I don't know who springs to mind, but Crawford going up 2 divisions, beating Canelo, who I'm certain is not past it. Do you know what I mean? Still a fantastic. He can walk away at the top, and I think maybe he should, but. You know, the unified super middleweight champion. You can't say that he was past it.
That's true.
He's not.
Yeah.
He's beaten everyone. He's gotten everything. He stepped up to fight Bivol, didn't he? And it felt like a step too far. And unless you're just going to really handicap yourself and give away so much size, what's the point?
No,
so I think Crawford made the right decision.
Fair play. What's next? Teofimo, Lopez and Shakur Stevenson collide at Madison Square Gardens on January 31st. Good fight. That's
a great fight. Yeah. That's a really, really good fight. You know, Teofimo Lopez has had his moments, hasn't he, over the years, and I think it distracts from his achievements in the ring. You know, he's only had 1 loss, and that was quite a few years ago now against Barbosa. So, and that felt like a shock loss at the time. And since then, you know, he's unbeaten. And Shakur, obviously, moving up in weight, so there's that to factor. I haven't seen him stand side by side yet. No. You know, I mean, sometimes that's like a bit of the giveaway. Yeah. So when you're like Crawford's moving up 2 weight divisions, but he stands side by side with Canelo, and you're like, oh, there's not a lot of height difference there. You know, it doesn't always feel like a bigger man. Yeah. You see Joshua and Paul, and you're like, oh my God. Like,
exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
It's like chalk and cheese.
So, but I'm really looking forward to this fight. I think is the bookie's favourite? Would that be Shakur? Would that be Stevenson?
I would have thought so. It's probably pretty close, almost 50-50.
I think it'd be risky to ever go against Teofimo Lopez. And
He hasn't been the most active though over the last few years. I feel there's been times where people have been trying to like get fights sorted out, and he's had an issue with something in the negotiations. So maybe finally this time it's good to.
Well, he was not part of that mega show, weren't they? In New York, wasn't it? And you had Haney and Garcia was on there. And,
a bit of a flop.
And
that
he was
whole
on
show,
there.
wasn't it?
Yeah. So I was wondering whether that was them all in the mix to fight each other, but that didn't happen, did it? So I think it's a great fight.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that.
Boxer that you believe will capture a world title this year, British or otherwise?
Yeah, let's go British. Might win a world title, should win a world title. You know, Hamza Shiraz now campaigning at a super middleweight. I think with the belt scattering, I believe he's got a great shot to win one. He had a great win. He's teamed up now with Andy Lee as well, hasn't he? And he boxed really well, beating Munguia. It was Munguia, wasn't it?
Edgar Berlanga?
Oh, Berlanga. Got them two muddled up. Berlanga. And so, you know, that if that was happening this year, that might have been happening for a vacant world title. So I think Hamza Shiraz could be a good,
his name keeps getting mixed in with other names like the WBO keep making about, and then
we had the fight with Adames, and he didn't really perform.
No, that was the one.
And then it was like, okay, has he not performed, or are we about to find his level? And does he have flattering wins? You never know. Boxing's brutal like that. You know, as boxing fans, we're quick to stick the knife in.
Yeah, it's true.
But
got away with the draw though, didn't he?
We got away with the draw. But he's so big. I think maybe he was a bit tight at the weight. Now up at super middleweight, I'd like to see him with a shot. Other than that, you got a list of names you're going to throw at me?
No, I haven't actually. But I mean,
who else we could think of?
Do you think Daniel Dubois got a shout of getting one again?
But I mean, if he fights, I'd like to see him fight Fabio Wardley. I think that's a good fight.
That's what we want, because then Fabio can say if he wins that, he's a legit world champion.
Yeah. So Fabio has to win his next fight to feel like a true world champion, and I would say that about anyone. So it's not a dig at Fabio, and I just think that all fighters feel like that. I think they should get rid of the just elevating interims to worlds just because it's vacant. I think you're guaranteed your next fight is for the full belt, but you don't deserve to be called a world champion yet, because fighters want to have to.
Well, that's it. It shouldn't just be handed to you in a press conference or something. It should be actually earned in the ring, shouldn't it?
Yeah,
I agree.
You know, and there are some. Boxing takes the business side sometimes has to take over, and then you will have champions who are tied up in legal battles or injuries who maybe can be a champion in recess, and we want the belt to be vacant, so you end up with two world champions, but ultimately they have to fight each other real quick so that we can just have one world champion each in each governing body at each weight. I think that's enough. So I think maybe Fabio Wardley is going to be the world champion that we see this year.
Ben Whittaker, is it going to come too soon for him?
No, he won't win. Ben Whittaker won't win a world title this year.
No, it's going to be 2027 if it does happen.
You know, the light heavyweight scene is tough.
That's true.
And you know, all the belts tied up by the two big boys. It doesn't seem like they're going anywhere. And then you got, if the belts do, maybe one belt might scatter, but you got Benavidez there. And I think Ben Whittaker, he's got the potential, but there's still some good domestic fights I'd like to see him in with. I'd like to see him in with a Buatsi or a Callum Smith. See how he gets on with some of those guys who are battle hardened now. You know, they former world champion Callum Smith, but Buatsi hasn't quite got there yet. But let's see him in with one of those guys. We saw Craig Richards have a great win over a domestic, friend and rival Dan Aziz out in Africa last month. So maybe like Craig Richards v Ben Whittaker. Richards, sometimes you look at him and you go, looks pretty basic. I think I could do a job against him. And then they can't. So I'd like to see. How he would get on with it. I'd like to see that fight.
Let's see who Matchroom chuck him in with, because it will be interesting. We'll wait and see. We saw Andrew Tate lose his boxing match with his brand built on being the top G. Obviously, a big L for him, the unconquerable force. Not so much. What do you think? That's a bit of a dent in his ego. Will he just brush it off?
I don't know. He's sort of lowercase G now, isn't he? He's
lower G.
And you know, he's a controversial character, and where a lot of people maybe believe in him but don't openly say that. A lot of people don't. You know, he's one to steer clear of. I think it would hurt a little bit if you're. Yeah. I'm surprised he boxed. I'm surprised he took the bout, and then I thought, oh, maybe he's a really good boxer. And I saw clips of it, and I was like, I don't think he is. And then we saw I didn't see the fight, but I saw clips of the fight, and he's not, and he got beat, and it was quite disappointing. I mean, he gave away a lot of natural size against Chase Demore.
Chase Demore, that's it.
Yeah. Who looked absolutely awful in some fights I've seen.
Tate was giving it big before the fight. He was like laughing at his, Chase's sparring and stuff like that. But then on the night, it turned out that he wasn't much cop either.
Yeah.
Maybe you should, like you were saying before,
you've got to do. I mean, these guys, anyone, any fighter, ex-fighter, whatever. I want to get in the ring and spar, right, and then watch it back, and be honest with yourself, and be like, because getting hit ain't nice, and but as a boxer, they don't realise that because they're so used to it. They've probably been doing it their whole life, you know. Yeah. And like if I get in the ring now and I get hit, it won't be the same as when I was a pro. I won't like it. Not so much I liked it when I was a pro, but it didn't bother me. I had no feelings about it whatsoever. But now you get your head knocked back and you go, hold on, what is this? And what is this? And if you're going to do that in front of a load of people in public and try and sell it as a pay-per-view, I mean, So, yeah, sorry, Andrew. I think, you missed the goal there a touch.
Back to the drawing board for Andrew Tate, perhaps.
But maybe back to the drawing board. We see them do it again.
Yeah, you never know. Misfits still going.
Misfits boxing. I don't know whether that was. Usually they're on DAZN. I don't think that one was on DAZN, but I'm a fan. I've bought into the Misfits boxing a little bit. I like the fact that I'm listening to the youth a little bit more and realising that then they know it's not real boxing. They know it's not professional boxing, but the word boxing is still on their horizon.
You can still define the two separately, even the youngsters.
That was always the panic, that people wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
Yeah.
But I think they can.
Good. Do you plan on watching the new Prince Naseem Hamed film? Have you seen any of the trailers or anything?
I've seen a bit of the trailers, and I think it looks cool. I'm looking forward to finding out maybe a little bit more about Naseem Hamed, because
the come up.
He's so famous. For anyone of my age, I was born in the late '80s, so I didn't watch a lot of Nas fights. I maybe never watched any live, but I had a couple of VHSs, that Frank Warren would have put together with Bruno and Nigel Benn and Eubank and Nas, and that was boxing, throughout the 90s. So
because a lot of his would have been in Vegas at stupid o'clock in the morning, and when we were
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm going to find out. I'm going to watch the film and find out.
Yeah, that's it.
But and then after it felt like his boxing came to an abrupt end. He had enough, and then he just disappeared. He's like, he wasn't interested in public life, and we've seen him at events. His son's box now. I think the family is still relatively involved in boxing. And I'm fortunate enough to meet him recently at a Boxing Border Control Awards luncheon, and he was cool, and he was full of beans, and he presented an award for Frank Warren.
Good.
So them two I think they had a bit of a disagreement once upon a time. But they patched that up, and we'll find out again in the film.
Frank Warren had a disagreement with the next
No,
fighter.
I think he did. I think, at the end, I think it was Prince Promotions or something. He separated from Warren.
Good stuff. Should be interesting.
So I'm looking forward to that fight. I like any boxing movie. I'm trying to think of the last one.
I remember watching to the premiere, surely.
Maybe, that would be cool. I was at the George Foreman premiere. Yeah. That was a really good movie.
Excellent. All right.
I like a boxing movie.
And the follow-up question: if you could turn one boxer's life into a movie, yours, potentially not yours, then whose would it be?
Yeah, I'd love to be
immortalised.
What would my? I was trying to think if my boxing life got made into a movie, what would the movie be similar to?
Or who would star as you?
Yeah, I get asked that a lot. You'd love to say some hip, cool, new sort of actor, but you sort of probably.
Well, you need a few different ones over the course of your life. So you need like the 5-year-old George Groves throwing his first punch, getting his first boxing gloves for Christmas or something.
Yeah.
Did that happen?
So that would 7.
Oh yeah.
For Christmas, Santa brought me a punch bag and a set of weights.
Okay.
And I was like 7 years of age. I don't know if he would do that now. I don't know if like social services would have been called the same. But and I remember at the time I'd already watched Rocky. I wanted to be a boxer. I wanted to be big and strong, and I couldn't move my present. I was so ashamed. And my dad was like, "Oh, I'll get that one out for you from under the tree." Set of weights from Argos. Yeah, I think it was about 45 kilos worth.
It's pretty heavy for a 7-year-old.
Yeah, my dad might still have them. He don't throw stuff away, bit of a hoarder.
Yeah,
so
stuff
probably in the garden
somewhere.
shed somewhere.
Sick.
But so yeah, that was my childhood really.
Yeah.
Lots of. I suppose it gave my mum ideas for Christmas. Santa to bring me.
Yeah.
It's always a pair of boxing gloves. We used to have them. They weren't real gloves, were they? You know, they're like ones you'd get out of the arcade. And then my dad took me down Charlie Magri's. Is it Charlie Magri's? Had a shop, and Mancini had a shop on Carnaby Street. Used to go and buy boxing gloves down there back in the day.
Awesome.
And Hammersmith. They had one in Hammersmith.
Okay.
Local one, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, who would your boxing movie be?
Well, a lot of them have been done already, haven't they? Really. So maybe need to unearth someone who's hasn't really had too much.
I want an Eastern European one. I want to find out what was Golovkin's like before moving to America. What was, we see the Klitschko's one. I think Klitschko documentary. That was pretty cool. But let's find out like Usyk or Lomachenko. Like what was?
Well, any of the Cubans that
Cubans
moved over. They would have had an interesting life, something like that.
As long as it's not in Spanish, because I can't read the subtitles quick enough.
We'll have to dub it into English.
Yeah,
Yeah. Fair enough. I don't know. We'll have to think on this. Comment in the comments whose life you want to see on film. But George Groves, once again, shout out to the pigeons for their little intro.
Yes, you will hear the pigeons.
Awesome. Right, we'll be off to the pub for a lime soda then, will we? Not a Guinness? Yeah.
Definitely.
All right, take care.
Mate. Nice
See
one.
you soon. Cheers, George.